Welcome back to the budget series on Budgets Made Easy and the Money Mindset podcast. Today is day 3, and we are going to talk about all the little things that want to ruin your budget. All the things that seem to always come up that you haven't planned for, but maybe you should have. When you're thinking about it, it's like, oh, yeah, I completely forgot about that. So, we are going to talk about those things that you still need to plan for, but aren't necessarily monthly regular expenses. So, let me pull up the whiteboard. Of course, don't forget that I am doing this on the podcast and YouTube. So if you want to follow along visually for what we are putting together here, come over to YouTube if you're listening on the podcast. But today is not as important as yesterday. So yesterday, remember, I covered how to budget by paycheck. And then day 1 was knowing where you're starting from. So of course, visuals are a little bit more helpful, but I also know that you're busy and sometimes it's just easier to listen to a podcast. I know it is for me. So today we are going to talk about sinking funds. And a lot of people get confused by that term. All it means is a savings fund. Sinking fund is like the technical accounting term for it. And I've been using it so long now, it's hard to stop using it, but all it means is savings fund. So this is for things that do not come up every single month, like a regular bill, but that you still need to plan for and save for in your budget. So here on my screen, I have what we did yesterday. So if you're listening, we planned out the budget by paycheck for the rest of May and then June as an example. Now, with what was left over, we talked about using as a buffer for debt. We also allocated just $300 for sinking funds, but we didn't specify what sinking funds. So you will want to break those down a little bit more. But before that, let's dive into the different categories that you can have for sinking funds. Now, remember to not overcomplicate it, okay? Figure out what's going to work for you. Some people have a different cash envelope or a different bank account for each fund. Some people have one fund and then use like a spreadsheet to keep track of it. Some people just like to have one big fund and not say exactly what it is for each thing. As long as you know that it's there for certain expenses when it comes up, then that's good. The problem is if you don't have any money saved for these things, or you only have your emergency fund and then it just like kills you a little bit on the inside to use it for some of these things because it's for an emergency, that type of thing. You can also cash flow a lot of these things. And what that means is you just add it into your budget. So, on the monthly basis or whenever you need to pay for it. So instead of like your $100 buffer that we use for the first paycheck in June, or, we had debt of 575 the second paycheck and 335 the first paycheck, instead of sending that money to debt, you could just use that money instead. And that is called cash flowing. So you're just using the cash that you have and flowing it into that expense. Either way is fine. Just know that you need to have a plan and know that these expenses are coming up so that mentally you're prepared as well as financially. Because mentally, when these things come up, we feel like we failed because we didn't know or we forgot, we didn't have the money set aside. But if you can pay for it without going further into debt, that's a huge win. So be proud of yourself for that and don't beat yourself up when these things come up because they will. So, some of the things that we have on our list here, and let me know in the comments some other ideas that you have, because I know that there is a ton more that we can add to this list. I actually have a list. Uh, broken down by month because each month is a little different, especially with different seasons, in the budget starter kit. So there is a different list of these things for every single month of the year. You can get that free at budgetsmadeeasy.com/start to get your budget starter kit, which has this broken down for you. But so far, so some of these things that you need to save for that aren't just regular monthly expenses is Christmas or, any other major holidays that you celebrate, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, birthdays, vacation, clothes. Oh my gosh, clothes is a big one. It just always seems to add up, right? Back to school expenses. So right now we're getting into summer. Some people have started or we're going to be at the end of the week. So you've got back to school supplies already to start planning for summer camps. If you haven't planned for that already, that is expensive and it adds up quickly. We also have vehicle registration, taxes that you have to pay every year. You have property taxes, depending on if you pay like your house, your property taxes for your house in your mortgage payment, or if you need to set that money aside. You may also need to pay property taxes on things that don't have a tag. So, for like my business, I have to pay yearly property taxes on all the things that my business owns. And so that can add up depending on what you have. You're technically supposed to pay property taxes on vehicles that may not have a registration tag. So, like if you have old um, vehicles that don't have a tag, they're not drivable. You're technically supposed to pay property taxes to the county on that. I don't think most people do that though. Let's see, pool. So it's summertime, those pool expenses, do you have lawn care services? Do you need to buy chemicals or grass seed? Do you want to buy plants? Do you have a bunch of flower pots you need to fill or want to fill? That all that adds up, and it's not something that we typically think about to set money aside for. Some other ones, pet expenses. Maybe you need to have a pet fund, especially if you don't have pet insurance, and you're not the type that will. Not give, major medical care. Let's say they need a several $1,000 surgery and you're going to pay that regardless of if you can afford it or not. You need to have money set aside for that. Your own medical expenses. So, what is your medical deductible? Do you have an HSA or FSA? Do you need to save money beyond that? Do you need to start one of those? Because that can be considered a sinking fund as well. Tons of kid expenses, registration fees for sports, and then those sports maybe have equipment, clothing, pictures, a gift for the coach, yearbook for the school fundraisers. It feels like they are always asking for money, right? So we have kids. What about, the other holidays like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July? Do you have like a party? People over? Do you go to summer concerts, entertainment? We didn't include any of that in our budget example. So those are other things to think about. Hair. Like I don't get my hair done every month. My husband and my son do. They get their hair cut every 3 weeks. But like I only do it every couple of months. So if that's something you're going to regularly do, your nails, things like that, that you may not do every single month, but you still want to set money aside for, this is where the sinking fund comes in. And then what is awesome is when you need the money, you've got it. It's really a different feeling when that happens. And you may be feeling like, oh my gosh, this is too much, Ashley. I don't want to set all this money aside. That is okay too. Remember, if you've got money left over, you can cash flow it. I also like to fill up a fund and then move on. So I don't have like 100 things in my budget every single month. So you can do that as well. So, when we have an extra paycheck in a month, a bonus, if we sell something, if we've got some extra money that has come in, I like to fill these funds and then move on instead of having a little bit to everything every single month. Now, some people prefer that because it's more systematized. It's just kind of automatic. You can set up automatic withdrawals and transfers to other bank accounts. And you just know that money is being set aside every single month and you don't have to really think about it. So you can do it either way. Just figure out what works for you. That's the most important thing, right? So let me know in the comments, what are some other things that I don't have on this list? Because I'm sure there are more. I know that there are more because I've done this before in Money Success Club. And it took us almost an hour of listing everything that people could think of. Now, that can feel very overwhelming, right? You're like, "Oh my god, I already have to, like, figure out debt and, save some money, and now you're telling me I have to save for 100 other things in a month." No, you don't. Just pick what is important, what you, wanna prioritize and put in your budget for now, and this is where, you start to prioritize where your money's going, your needs versus your wants. What is more important to you right now? Because if you only have a limited set of money typically each month, unless you're self-employed or you can work a lot of overtime, like it's finite, right? Like you only have so much money in a month, and you need to decide where you actually want it to go instead of saying yes to everything. So you just have to learn to prioritize and decide what is important to you and your family, and try not to overwhelm yourself with trying to plan for way too many things. So, like kids, for example, like I listed off numerous different things that could be in just a general kid category. Same thing for vehicles, property tax. Maybe you don't have one for every single car, you just have a general fund. Maybe for holidays, you have a general holiday fund instead of one for 4th of July, one for Memorial Day, one for Labor Day, one for Thanksgiving, Halloween. You know what I mean? Like Christmas, I have found in my own experience that it needs to have its own fund, because when I've put it just with like general gifts, which can be birthdays and other, birthday parties at school, but also my kid's birthday, um, I spent it all on birthdays and stuff before Christmas came. So Christmas for me needs its own fund, but like birthdays, I'm not having a fund for every kid plus a different fund for friends, family, kids at school. Like it's just one fund. So try and simplify it as much as you can so that you're not overwhelming yourself, because if you overwhelm yourself, you're more likely to quit and give up. All right. So those are just some of the ideas and what you're going to do. So here's our example that we worked on yesterday for our paycheck budget. So all you're going to do is you can do here. I had used just sinking funds 300, but you could divide that up. So you could still do 300 and then decide, or you could list it Christmas 100, birthdays 100, vacation 100. You could also on the second paycheck of the month, we did not add anything for sinking funds. So you could add some here. You could add property taxes, $25, kids, $25, clothes, $50. Like you could add that and just know whatever you put in here is going to be less that you have to go towards savings or debt. And savings, I mean like emergency general savings, because these sinking funds are technically savings, but they're for a specific purpose, where your general emergency fund savings is not necessarily for Christmas. It's not for birthdays. It's for the unexpected. Emergency, right? So, the more you have here in sinking funds to save for, the less you're going to have for other things as well. So, this is where you really have to start prioritizing where you want your money to go. And that is really where the magic happens and how you're going to be able to make long term progress, because you may not have enough for everything and be able to pay off debt as fast as you want. And you can also, now let's say you do have enough money to put money in your sinking funds that you want and put money toward debt. Now, when you start to run the numbers for paying off debt, you may decide that you want to give up money in another area to pay off debt faster. And that is okay too. So the important thing is to decide what is important for you at this time because you can always change your mind later. So keep that in mind too as things move. Your monthly expenses are going to stay the same. Once you get on the schedule, they're going to come out of the same paycheck every single month. But the other things fluctuate and you can decide each month. Maybe one month you want to fill sinking funds, the next month you want to pay off debt. It's completely up to you. Remember, there is no right or wrong way to do this as long as you're doing something, right? As long if you want to pay off debt and that's what you're working on, as long as you're doing that, that is awesome. So try not to overthink it and feel like there's a right or a wrong way to do it. Let me know in the comments what sinking fund you are going to start saving for in the next month. What is important to you right now? And I will see you tomorrow. Oh, and don't forget that you can save $10 off the budget planner and the budget spreadsheet with code BS10, links below. And I will be back tomorrow to talk about being realistic with yourself. So, we have to be realistic and know our limits, be honest with ourselves, and know really what we can handle, what we can't handle, and what we have money for and what we don't have money for. So, I will talk to you tomorrow.